You've come a long way with learning SQL. We started off learning about single table queries, and then we moved on to grouping and aggregations. After that, we had a look at the different data types that you work with, and what we're going to be talking about now is joins, which is another fundamental aspect of SQL. So far, when you've been writing queries, you've probably been getting a little bit tired of just passing around and looking at IDs. For example, if you're working with the rental table and writing some queries, you had to always just deal with a customer ID. You didn't really have any techniques or ways to turn that into the customer's first name, last name, and email address. But the problem is that first name, last name, and email that's referenced by that customer ID is stored in another table. And that's just how the rules of database normalization work. Each entity should live in its own table, and each row in a table describes a single entity, and so you end up with multiple tables related to each other through keys. And in the case we were talking about, you've got the customer ID, which is referencing the customer ID column in the customer table by a foreign key relationship. In this chapter, we're going to learn about joins, which is where you're going to learn how to put those tables back together again when you're writing queries. So a very common use case for joins is linking up a foreign key in one table to its related entity in another table. We can finally move beyond writing boring queries where all we learn is customer 87 rented out film 42, and start to talk about customers renting particular films. Joins can be an intimidating topic for some people, but I think a big part of the problem so far is that they're often taught very poorly. They're actually underpinned by some very simple ideas. The problem though is when you look at how joins are often taught, you see people referring to these visual diagrams called Venn diagrams. And the problem with teaching people about joins through these Venn diagrams is that it's a very limiting and actually incorrect way of understanding how joins work. If you learn joins in this way, it will hold you back from properly understanding joins and seeing their full power. So in this course, I'm going to give you a strong foundation for how joins actually work, and we'll talk about each of the different joins, inner joins and outer joins, as building on top of cross joins, or the Cartesian or cross product between tables. When you start to think about joins in this way, it will open up a whole bunch of new possibilities and a deeper understanding of how joins work. It will enable you to reason and think about joins in what I think is actually a better and more intuitive way. So with that, let's jump over and let's talk about this foundational join called the cross join. And then after that, we'll look at and we'll see how the inner join and the outer join build on top of the cross join.